Hello, good evening, welcome. It's me, Chris, back. It's him, Kev O'Sullivan. It's LFC Great Games, sponsored by bookmakers.com. There are bookmakers, all the details in the description below. But if you do use them, please gamble responsibly. If you don't gamble, it's not for you. Don't worry your head over it. But check out their YouTube site. The YouTube's really good, and they do some shows about footy and other sports. How are you, Mr. O'Sullivan?
Good. Tired. Been a long week, mate.
Yeah, I feel
it's
like
only Tuesday, but it's a Tuesday that feels like a Thursday, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's like
Well, I literally stopped working 30 minutes ago. I'm proper prepared for this, and then I went. Oh shit! I've got to show Kev. Forgot that bit.
I'm liking Laszlo's emojis already.
Is it beer?
Even folks with the pint glasses, I could definitely nail a pint tonight. It's just
so could I, but a 6 o'clock start tomorrow. I was thinking that's not a good idea.
Definitely not, because I can't just stop at 1. I tell you that.
I know. I've been on a night out with you, Kevin Liverpool. Oh, I tell you. Oh, the man's
John,
an animal.
Tom, Archie, evening everyone. How are you all doing? I mean, the thing is, look, myself and Matt had a chat last night about the possibility of fringe players breaking through. You were in the chat.
I saw bits of it. I mean, you seem to ignore my comments, which I was very upset over.
Mate, I struggle reading half of them, and Matt controls putting them up, so blame Matt.
Well,
I'm
surprised Red Steve didn't dub me in, to be honest. Oh, here he is. He's in the chat. There he is.
Matt had his say. Is who do you see, or do you see anyone breaking through, or anyone that an unexpected advancement or something that could come that we just don't see, because we've had it before with players that just out of nowhere produce a string of 8-10 games, and you're like, wow, I knew he had it in his locker, but that's what we need.
Personally, no. If I'm being brutally honest, I mean, I agree with you. I could have picked Bajeti out in a lineup. I generally was like, fuck's this, and he's really good. And you're like going, oh, brilliant. This was like not one of the ones that was really talked up. We heard of Ben Doak, and we know the ones that were talked up. We thought, oh, he's got a chance. But, so unless there's like another Bajcetic that we just haven't heard of yet. But, the young right back who's at Bolton, has done really well. Personally, I think he gets another loan, because I think he just needs another loan level up again, just for his development. I don't think you're going to throw him in. I think for right back, it's going to be Trent will do a bit there, Gomez will do a bit there. And I think we'll just do horses for courses. I know that won't be popular, but I kind of think that's what we're going to do. Ben Doak, I can't work out whether he's going to get a loan or just kind of carry on in the unders. But I think we might have been the old League Cup and things like that. But I personally just can't see him becoming a regular. I kind of feel at the moment, if Ben Doak's a regular fixture next season, something's gone badly wrong, where we're really having to rely on him too much. Unless, obviously, he explodes. But it feels at the moment, if we're going into next season, I'll throw Ben Doak in like we were doing last year. We were saying that because we're like, well, the season's shit anyway, so fuck it, let's go. You're just saying Gomez is shocking, Chris. Have to let him go. Can't let him go, mate, because I know it's boring, but homegrown and club homegrown, we haven't got enough of them. So he's literally there as a fourth choice squad option and a backup right back. And people won't like it, but have to lump it. That's what he is. Until we get another homegrown option that could cover that, then he's here. I think he's gone in 2 years, but I just don't think he's due. I think he's there. So, but listen, there's nobody obvious, but I mean, that could be quite exciting, because he could be quite, I quite like it when you have a youngster come to radar. I'd love to see when we had like a Michael Owen or a Fowler breakthrough. Like an young 18-year-old striker. We haven't had one for ages. Yeah, that's always the most exciting thing. But the once in a generation thing, aren't they, to get someone that good?
Yeah. Well, look, the reason why we're here is someone put in the chat, you can't beat a bit of chat about Manchester United and Liverpool. Yeah. And
just one thing Jake's put is there. Apparently, we can't sign anyone because there's 2 more players because of homegrown. Well, I think someone put the
Not
squad up
true.
as it is at the moment. It shows we had 7 to 8 homegrown, which is enough, and we had 2 non-homegrown spots free. Now, listen, that's as long as we're selling the homegrown players, which I think the only ones we're going to sell is probably Phillips and Reece Williams. I think the only 2 homegrown that are going to go, unless someone puts mega bucks in for Kelleher, and I've got a feeling Kelleher's going to stay because we're in Europa League. I think we're in Champions League. I think Kelleher will go. I think we might convince Kelleher to stay for another year. That's how I see it, but
we'll see. Plenty of shows between now and then to sink our teeth into that one. But when the fixtures come out at the start of the season, are Manchester United the first one you look for? Because they are for me.
Yeah, I look for the United game. I look for the Derby game, and I do now look for the City game because up until last season, do you think, well, could be a bit of a title decider. Fuck, it wasn't this year, but generally they're the ones to look for. The United game's one you hate unless you win it because the whole build up. It's the game you don't want to lose. I think losing that's worse than losing the Derby at times. I mean, we haven't lost one for a while, but you know what I mean. I just hate it, especially the Old Trafford away game. I'm actually always confident at Anfield because I always think we do pretty well. Old Trafford away has normally been a bit of a horror show for us, and that's normally remember the Mascherano sending off when he stupidly shout back at the official when Ferguson already got in the ref's ears about how you shouldn't shout back at the official. We always fell for the games at Old Trafford. I always felt we just wilted at Old Trafford a little bit. So, but I do remember this. Well, let's talk about the first one. So we had Man United 0, Liverpool 5. So we are on the 24th of October, 12th Sunday, at the 4:30 kickoff. Now I can remember this game quite well. For one reason, Kev, and you'll remember this, we used to do pre-match shows where we bring the lineup up and give for half an hour give people's thoughts. Fuck me. I did this show when the lineup landed. I'll read you the lineup in a minute. You generally thought, A, the world had ended, B, we were getting relegated, and C, I'd picked the team. Because the dogs abuse and threats I got on in the chat off randomers for attempting to say, well, that team could work. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Now, listen, I went to this game going, Jesus Christ, it's Old Trafford away. I think I'll take a draw because we were in okay form. But we
were doing all right at the time. I think we were, after this game, I think we were second in the league ahead of Man City. But going into the game, United were in trouble. Solskjaer was having a right mare. But it's Liverpool, Manchester United at Old Trafford. And it's almost one of those games from, form goes out the window both ways. I mean, we spent years going there when Ferguson was in charge. And you had to fight tooth and nail to get anything. Yeah. And even roles reversed, you still had to be on your mettle going there. And it was, the lineups came out. I remember watching the show at the time. And
it was graphic on it. Honestly, God, it was horrendous. I was trying not to, I was laughing.
It was bad. But at the same, and the thing is, hindsight's 2020. Because
but even at the time, you were going we're not going to get spanked. We might lose because you know what?
Well, you read out the lineup, and I'll tell you why it was. I'll give you my reasons why it was oh my God.
So we had Alisson, Becker in goal, Trent and Robbo as fullbacks, Van Dijk, Ibu Konate's first ever start for Liverpool away at Old Trafford. Welcome to the Premier League. Midfield, this is where everyone lost their shit. So it was Henderson in the 6 with James Milner and Naby Keita. Naby Keita was on the right, Milner on the left. And then the front 3 was Bobby, Jota, and Mo Salah. And then the bench was Adrian, Joe Gomez, Costas, Joel Matip, Chamberlain, Curtis Jones, Sadio Mane, who wasn't a happy boy to be on the bench. We'll come to that.
No, he wasn't.
Taki Minamino and Origi. So, there's quite a lot of options there on the bench. And the United lineup, because I was also being told that this United lineup was going to wipe the floor with Liverpool because they were that worried about us. De Gea in goal, then is Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw. Okay, now. McTominay and Fred as a 2, and then it was Greenwood, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, and Ronaldo. So this came out. That midfield, everyone shit the bed, which I can understand why, because you're like, as soon as Milner starts the game, everyone hates it. Naby Keita on the right was a bit unusual, and Canarsie out of fucking nowhere, which everyone's like, oh, where's that come from? But I don't think it. Listen, if you want to go at something, watch the show. Just read the comments. It's just wild.
It's hilarious to go back and watch it. But when you look back at it,
I don't miss those.
I can understand I could understand where people were coming from with the midfield three.
Yeah, I could.
But Milner, Henderson, Naby in a three against what we were looking at Manchester United playing a 4-2-3-1, having to contend with those four forwards and a big pitch at Old Trafford, and
I can't remember I can't remember when Fabinho got injured. It might have been just the week before because we'd only just lost Fabinho, which was a bit of a blow. Yeah. And this was peak Fabinho, not what we saw last year.
For the first 6 months of last season, it was the polar opposite of what we were looking at. But back then, he was like spaghetti legs. He was just everywhere. He was massive. But the other side of it, you were thinking like Sadio should be starting. You're going away to Old Trafford. You need pace getting in behind. Why is he starting Jota? But I think at the time, Jota was scoring goals for fun, wasn't he? Jota found a real scoring streak.
This one, Manny was going through his spell of not scoring because this year, a lot goes right for Manny post-Christmas. Pre-Christmas, Manny couldn't hit a barn door. So him being on the bench was not like I wasn't going, okay, now it's a shock. You were looking. The other thing with the midfield is, as much as it, that midfield three annoys a lot of people, the other options were Oxlade-Chamberlain, surprisingly coming back from injury, still a very young Curtis Jones, no Fabinho. So you'd be going like, well, the options we want to put in as well are also fucked. So Thiago was injured. Who knew? So it's on them. But Jake's right. Not like anything's changed. They still moan about the midfield now. So you do. It's just not quite as venomous, which probably we don't do pre-match shows because there's just an excuse for people to be horrible.
It was mental.
The funniest thing was those characters who were giving it the big one disappeared. Typical little trolls that they were. They all shit the bed and disappeared. A few of them appeared in the chat a few weeks later and didn't seem to want to talk about anything. They just wait for another loss. So I thought we'd get a draw, but I was a bit like going, okay, I'll take a draw because I'm not quite sure we've come to Old Trafford at the right time with what we've got.
Yeah, it was still early in the season. I think there's like 11 games played or something.
Yeah,
12 games played, something like that. It was early.
But after 2 minutes, United should be 1-0 up because Fernandes misses an absolute sitter. He's clean through.
It was a diving header, but he got a good head on it, and Alisson sprawled across to cover his post, and it was only just wide. Yeah,
we should have done better with that, really. So, but then I think it's Mo picks up. Yeah, Mo picks. We into the ball. Mo picks up the ball, and he plays Naby Keita through. And when you watch it, going, he must be miles off, and he slots it past the hair because the hair just it's like a statue. And I remember this. Gary Neville was like dead relaxed, going, "Oh yeah, they'll do the replay." When you watch the replay, you're going, "He's about 5 yards on side." It's a brilliant run by Keita.
It was, and it was a great pass to pick him.
Great pass, and he slots it, and you went, "Oh, okay, that's a bit more. That's settled. That settled us all down a little bit, And then look, talk us through the second one.
The second one was Jota. On 14, Trent got the assist, but for me, I can't remember that one. That one isn't as fresh in my head as what. Oh, hang on, is that the one where
so
that's the one where Shaw and Maguire almost collide.
It comes after Trent. He whips it across, and Jota
slides in and taps.
But if Jota misses it, Milner's right behind him doing the same thing. They both slide at the same time. So, and again,
but in that goal, you saw the biggest problems that Manchester United had.
Yeah,
it was a car crash, and after like 15 minutes of the game, you realised just how bad they were, and how much of a disarray that they were. Because I hadn't paid that much. I hadn't watched that much of Manchester United at the time, because to be honest, I just had no interest. They weren't on my radar really of sides to worry about for the season. It was us and City. I wasn't worried about anyone else. But when I was watching them, I was like, look, Luke Shaw is not a bad fullback. Harry Maguire, at the time, I didn't think he was as bad as he was. I knew he was shaky, but I also knew that, he can pass out from the back. He's a decent defender as long as the ball is in front of him, kind of thing. But they were just all over the place. They didn't have a clue what each other was doing. None of the midfielders could be bothered to track back and defend. The forwards had absolutely no interest in helping anyone out. And the writing was on the wall. After this game, I know a lot of my mates and family who are Manchester United fans, and after this, they were seething. I'd never, ever, ever seen them turn like that. I mean, they turned like Everton fans. It was visceral. The fume that was coming out of them, and it's hard enough to lose to a side that's you're fighting to get into the top four with.
Not even Maguire's first game. It's a fucking
that's
a YouTube compilation and a half. That
as that season went on, it just got worse and worse and worse. There was no upside.
The worst thing they did to him was make him captain, because then you can't drop him, because like Man United, Liverpool, certain clubs, if you drop the captain, it's a big story, and that's all they talk about then. So then it just creates another problem they just don't want.
Yeah, I just didn't think it was as bad there as it was. And the first 15 minutes of that game, I thought at 2-0, I was thinking, put your foot down here, bury your foot in their throat, and you are going to have an absolute hatful here if you want it.
Now, I think I'm right. I think this happened before the third goal. So Milner went off after that. He tweaked he felt his hamstring, because Milner went off after about 20 minutes. We're 2-0 up after 14 minutes. Milner goes off on the 26th minute, and Curtis Jones comes on. So again, we're sort of going, oh, does that weaken us a bit more? Because Curtis Jones was still quite raw.
He was really raw at the time.
So he had the responsibility of playing left side. I thought, okay, so let's see how he looks. That left side's changed quite a bit now. No Genie, no Manny. Robert's going to have to look after him, and he has a tangle with Ronaldo where he's a fucking lucky boy, Ronaldo.
He was a lucky boy.
Where he pushes Curtis over. Curtis just lies on the ball and he just volleys the ball. Look, he connects with the ball and kicks the ball into. I don't think he was looking at the ball. I think he was just lucky. Now, to be fair to Curtis, he does well. He reacts, but not in a way where plenty of us would react and hit it. It's a reaction where you front yourself up, where you show like you're not scared, but not enough to get yourself.
Was that Ibu came in out of nowhere? That was it.
That's where Fred came over to have a go at Ibu, just picked him up like a 5-year-old and went, over you go. It's the funniest thing. That was the best part of the whole game. Just watching him pick him up like a child, going, no, over there. You've had it, Kev, when your toddler's pissing you off. So you just pick them up, don't you, under their armpits and go, there you go, over there, stay there, be good. Because he just went there. Which also cheered me up, because I was thinking like, oh, wow.
We've got one here.
What a beast this fella is. This is brilliant.
I mean, we all knew that. Look, any of us who'd watched him, we knew he was a player. We knew he was a defender. But when you actually see the physical size of him, because that was the first time we'd probably seen him on the pitch, and you've seen him next to these players, the likes of
I'd seen him
Fred and what have you.
Do you remember the back-to-back pre-season games?
Yeah.
We did a whole week, and I managed to go to both of them. And for the second game, which he played in, I was in the new main stand, quite low down. And also, he came on with me daughter. I went, who's that? And I went, that's Kanata. We both just went, wow, he's massive. Because he just stood next to me. He's the biggest centre I've ever seen. He made Virgil look small, which I thought that's quite some doing. And you're thinking, but if he could play, we're in business. And then we just didn't see him after that. You're like, oh, okay. I mean, Matip was still in good form, but you're like, oh, Christ. Yeah. But then the third goal is brilliant, because it was both that little bit of lucky need away at Old Trafford, but also quick reactions. Ball falls to Salah as well. Salah being Salah, tries to take a shot off. blocked,
It
and it
bounced
falls
off,
out,
didn't it?
falls out wide. But as soon as it falls out wide, Salah's on his bike to the 6-yard box, falls to Trent, cuts it across, and Salah bangs it near post top corner.
Near post, yeah.
And you're going like, it's only 35 minutes ago. We're 3-0 up at Old Trafford. This is
It's 3-0 up, yeah.
You know, you don't see this. Very few teams do this at the time, especially Liverpool sides. So you're sort of thinking, what's going on? And United just look all over the show. I mean, Solskjaer just looks like a lost child. You know, it just looks.
He was just all over the place at this stage. Didn't know what to do. And the thing is, there was nothing that he could do, because even if you looked at their bench, the change that he made in the second half, they were just like desperations. It was desperation stuff, you know. And we were sat there. We had Curtis Jones in midfield. We had Henderson playing at 6 and Naby, and we're like, absolutely in cruise
Laszlo's
control.
right. 400 feet times he's right. Paul Scholes predicted this, because I think it was midweek they'd play a Champions League game, and I think it was like Atalanta. They beat them 4-2. But I remember
Atalanta had shed loads of chances.
But and they were 2-0 up Atalanta, and it's like, oh, great comeback, and then they're all Gino, Rio Ferdinand, sign the contract again, because he's brilliant. Give him a 6-year extension. The usual bullshit you get from him. And Scholes was just, he went to Scholes and he just went, yeah, great, I'm glad we won. And he goes, you play like that against Liverpool or City, they'll murder you in the first 20 minutes, and you wouldn't even get a chance to come back to this. Said they need to wise up and wake up quick. And they're all like, Scholes being dour, get on with it. It's sometimes it is like a win can also be like, yeah, but you need to use it for the wake up call that it is. So 3-0, the rest of it's going well. And I'm just thinking, look, just see it out now. 3-0 at Old Trafford all the time. That's all you need to do. And United give away a silly free kick, which Robbo takes really quickly. I think I'm watching it. It's a Jota. They cut it in, and then Salah's got all the time in the world, which it just gets floated across to him, and he just hits it first time, bobbles it, bottom corner. You think, he's missed it that. Flew in.
Yeah.
Going, it's 4-0.
It's 4-0.
And he's still going, I'm sat there going, what's the biggest win we've ever at Old Trafford by Liverpool side? This is on par to be fun and games. This is unreal.
I remember going on social media at halftime, and I'd spotted a few people that I used to follow, and giving it socks before the game because of the lineup. And I swear to God, the amount of people who were deleting tweets at halftime, it was horrendous.
Most of them were DMs to me,
and it was like the only thing that I look back at that game, I honestly think we let them off. I genuinely think we let them off.
I think there's another reason why he didn't go beyond 5, but we'll come to that. Jake makes a good point. Our last 4 wins at Old Trafford have been 5-0, 4-2, 3-0, and 4-1. Fair to say, when we win at Old Trafford, we do it with a good scoreline. We do.
Yeah.
We do. Unlike last year, where we didn't show any of this fight and bollocks.
Yeah.
Which is actually me, though, Kev. We did enough post shows on this.
Come on to that one in a bit, but it's like I was expecting halftime 4-0 up. I honestly was expecting us to really put the foot down.
I was expecting a reaction for them. All those reactions are going like, well, we need to just show a bit of fight, all that
win the half kind of thing,
win the half, all that bollocks. Start playing like all teams. We start playing with 4-0 down. We're fucking too late now, lads. And you're thinking, right, Liverpool.
Yeah. O'Sheen sat there. He said by this stage he was just laughing he's laughing his heart out. Like it was. Thor said Solskjaer is the jammiest man in history. Funny how United got under him and inside with them getting a penalty. Insisted on them getting a penalty every week.
They did, because I remember having a conversation with my United fan just before he got the job permanently, and he said like, "Okay, so nobody else has done this run. It's 11 wins and all that." And listen, I am into stats to a point, and I said to him, if you look at the statistically how they're doing, I said it's not sustainable. This because when you keep supposed to said, but you're relying on your keepers to make 7 to 8 big saves, not routine, big saves, and you just scored 3 goals off an average on shots that on an average of 1 goal a game with the standard of shots. So you expect to over exceed your goal scored and like never concede despite leading 8 chances a game. Low goals after 11 games. it catches up with you.
Yeah.
Form eventually will catch up with it unless you find a way of tweaking the formation. We know
Jake
that.
Jake makes a point here that's when the all is at the wheel chants
Oh yeah,
started coming out. Gotta love them.
You gotta love them. So literally, United thinking, right, we've got to make nothing silly. Let's make a show of ourselves. 5 minutes into the second half, literally 5 minutes. Henderson gets the ball on the halfway line.
Oh God, yeah.
Outside of his foot, bends it right into most path, most clean through, and De Gea does his really good Dean Henderson impression where he shrinks. So I call it the Sam Minion they say, where a big fella makes himself as small as possible. And it's a hat trick at Old Trafford for Salah.
For me, that was probably one of the best assists I've seen. I love that type of assist.
The outside the boot one is nice, isn't it?
The outside of the foot into his path perfectly. And I think I remember seeing an interview with Mo when he talked about that. And he just said when Henderson gets the ball in that position, he just runs. He sees where the ball is. He sees who's got it. And Salah just makes the run because he knows Henderson will find him. And it was inch perfect. It was just an absolute beautiful ball right into his stride. And yeah, like you said, 5-0 hat trick. And you're putting yourself in a position where you can really kick your season on from there.
Sorry, I forgot. At halftime, Man United brought on Paul Pomper for Mason Greenwood. We'll come back to him because that sub also went really well. Yeah. So then the next best part of the game, which was, and because at the time this annoyed me, was they scored. Fucking hell, can we not just have a clean sheet? Really rub it in. Ronaldo give it the big his stupid celebration he does, Sue and all that sort of silly shite. And then they went, oh, hang on, it's good to the VAR. It's a goal kicker, and it's one of those ones. He's off by an arm, and they
he was just off.
It was,
but tight they didn't deserve it.
No,
which is the thing. They didn't deserve it, and I was sat there, and I understand why we kind of went into cruise control. I get why. But you don't get these chances often where you're away at Old Trafford, you're battering them. You're absolutely on top. You're playing great stuff, and they haven't got a clue how to deal with you. These are the kind of days where you really bury them. You could have scarred players with that kind of with a significant win.
Now, on 60 minutes, I think this is why the game stays at 5. Liverpool do have a chance after that where they could make it 6 or 7, but we don't. Paul Pomper flies in with the most cowardly dickhead tackle you've ever seen. And as you said, Kev, and right at the time, if Naby's foot's planted, that snaps his leg. And I remember watching certain Man United fans at the time, some prominent YouTubers, who were just saying like, oh, he's won the ball, football's gone, this is shite. And you're going, you've not been able to do that type of tackle for a long time, which is, doesn't matter if you get the ball, if your follow-through catches someone above the ankle, it's a red card, Yeah. And luckily, it doesn't break Naby's leg. I mean, I'll be honest, I was expecting Naby to be done for quite some time. Now, Naby goes off about 4 minutes later, and I think it's just to protect things. Oxlade-Chamberlain comes on, and United make a couple of
Guess who the referee was on the day?
Oh, is he from Manchester?
Anthony Taylor.
Wow.
Because even at the time, in real time, it looked a bad one. When you've watched enough football over the years on telly, and you see one and you're like, that looks a bad one. And it doesn't matter whether it's you're watching Liverpool or you could be watching West Ham against Brentford, and you see a tackle going in on someone and you're like, yeah, that's nasty. It just looked bad. And it looked like either pure frustration or I don't want to be here. Petulance.
I think it was petulance. I took it as petulance as well. Petulance. He walked with a smile on his face, and again, you go, is that the Funes Mori thing? Look at me. I've put one on the Scouse lad. I'm thinking, it doesn't really help, lad. Does it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you dickhead. Because if I was United, you wouldn't be happy with that. You'd be like, dickhead. Well done. That's not really helped us. I'll be honest. The last half hour, a bit of the game, actually, it's a bit shit.
It was a bit of a meh. It was a nothing. It just played out, didn't it?
It was almost like it's like they shook hands and Liverpool said, "All right, we won't go for any more
You just behave yourselves.
But don't be dickheads don't be dickheads and snap and try to break players' legs. Eh? We'll call it there. And
yeah, it's like you see it on a Sunday in the Sunday league game. You know, where you're clattering aside and you're like, look, we all got to go to work in the morning. None of it. We all have to play this game out.
Yeah.
Don't be a fool about it. And it just played out. It petered out. I was kind of like, obviously, look, ecstatic with the win. Ecstatic because the amount of United fans that went into their shells around, the ones who were giving it large on Friday night shows. We're going to do this, that, and the other cheer. We didn't see them for a while. But I saw some of the post-match shows from Manchester United fans, and I still go back and watch them now because when you watch them beforehand and you see the compilations of what they were talking about before the game as to what they were talking about during the game and after the game, it's like when you watch them from there and it's just slowly reality dawning, and then they just fall off the cliff.
You just
and descend into utter madness. Like
it's
hilarious.
Oh yeah, Ashley L, the fan exodus was the best part. Yeah, about the hour mark, they all fucked off.
And that's what killed, because Solskjaer was done. Solskjaer was done after that game.
Yeah,
I think he should have walked after that. To be fair, but I don't think he never did.
Yeah.
But it was.
There's a few in the chat talking about transfers. Don't be rude, lad, but we're giving transfers a rest at the moment because.
Yeah.
It's not even July.
Okay, here's the transfer news. Liverpool haven't signed anyone. We're still linked with the same players. We haven't signed anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone else who's doing transfer shows at the minute, I've just ruined about an hour of their show. Sorry.
We might talk about it at the end, but we're just kind of reminiscing on a couple of good performances. Not every show has to be transfer related. So, all in all, it was good. And there's a few good T-shirts that came out of Alex Ferguson's face and Kenny's face sat next to each other.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Do you know what? Whoever the Sky cameraman and the producer was on the day.
Oh, he got his money.
See that? Because if you ever watch the screen that the producers are watching, they're watching about 10 screens. And out of the corner of his eye, he must have seen that and said, switch the camera, whatever.
Yeah.
Get that shot of the two of them. And it was like... If you ever had a shot to define a game, define 95 minutes of football in a photo, that was the photo. It was unreal. It was perfect. It genuinely was. It was absolutely perfect. Yeah.
So I'll be honest. My thought was, and I said to you, "Well, you'll see that again. You won't top that sort of result. You don't see big wins like that against Liverpool.
You don't.
You don't.
And you genuinely don't. You normally don't.
I thought the 4-2 the year before, in fact, 4-2 the year before was even better because Man United fans got that cancelled. Brilliant. Because when I remember the 4-2, quick on that, that's when we're going to play some absolute weirdo centre back. We were going to play Phillips and Kabak.
Yeah.
And then we end up playing. I think we were playing Reece Williams and Phillips, but we got a few more midfielders back. But it's like, yeah, well, what great. So
that was
nice. Yeah. So anyway, let's go to 5th of March last year. Now let's set the scene. That's fine. You've been doing this for a while.
And Andy Kaufman there is asking what's the photo? I missed it. There was a shot of Alex Ferguson and Kenny Dalglish sat next to each other when the score was 5-0.
They clearly weren't next to each other, someone superimposed them next to each other.
Yeah.
And it's just sad face, happy face, but it's really funny.
If you could see Ferguson, if you can imagine Ferguson's worst cider head, red face, thunder would, looks could kill. And Kenny, after a scutter of drink, and he's just been told the funniest joke of all time from Funny Town. It was the two pictures right next to each other. You have to see it. It's priceless. It really, really is.
Yeah. So.
And yeah, you're right, Oshin. Oshin is a great segue to.
Let's get a few caveats there. So set the scene. Liverpool are dog shit this year. This last year, we're not great. We'll go to the side, not in good form. United are in better form. On paper, they're doing better. We have absolutely no idea what lineup we're going to pick. We're all going, I can know, this is going to be a tough game. I'm supposed to do a post-match review with Matt.
Yeah.
I get 2 tickets last minute. So I go with my daughter. So I'm driving to Anfield with my daughter. She's never been to a Liverpool Man United game. She's like, "Oh, I think we'll win, Dad." And I'm going, "Oh, bless the innocence of the innocence of a 9-year-old at the time." And I'm going, "I'll take a draw." You know what I mean? I don't think we'll lose because it's at home. And to be fair, last season, we lost 1 game at home in the league. You know, we actually generally did all right at home. So I was dreading this. I saw this after the game. You know, Keane and Neville were all really giving it the big end. You know, Neville was his usual smarmy, over the top self. You know, the toughies. You know, these are different. Fucking not. The same lads will let you down every time. And I know they got top 4, but I still think that that side's going to let them down long term. And Souness was ultra confident. I just think we'll win. Why is it? He's got too many problems with this. So, but I'm sure there'll be some troll United fans that the 7-Up Cup and all that. Listen, you beat any of your rivals 7-0. You're allowed to crow about it, no matter how shit the season was, because how often does that happen? Liverpool at their shittest. And listen, I saw some shite Liverpool sides in the 90s under Roy Evans and Houllier joint management, where we had like Kavama and Phil Babb, some absolute dog shite teams. They never got turned over 7-0. And to us, those United sides we played probably could have turned them over 7-0. They never did it. So you've got to also take it for what it is, and take your medicine a little bit. So lineups came out, Kev. Our lineup was Ali in goal, Van Dijk and Ibu, and Andy Robertson and Trent. So the standard back 4 that we always
standard back pick. 4, yeah.
Midfield was Henderson and Fabinho, neither in great form. Harvey Elliott, which I must admit, everyone around me was like, "Ooh, that's not what we'd have picked." Quite a few were expecting Milner, or in fact, to us, a lot wanted Bajcetic. Bajcetic was in good form. It was everyone's like, surprised he's not started Bajcetic. You think he'd have gone with him? Because at the time, he was the form lad to pick. And then the front 3 was Mo Salah, Darwin, and Cody Gakpo. So attack-wise, you're all right with it. I think Darwin starts on the left, Cody goes through the middle, Salah on the right as normal. So lineup-wise, as always, the question was midfield. I'm surprised Bajcetic didn't get started. That was all I was looking at. And then in terms of their 11, it was De Gea in goal, Dalot, Varane, Martinez, the Butcher. We'll come back to him. Shaw, Bruno Fernandes. We'll come back to him in a minute. Fred, Casemiro, Anthony, Weghorst, and Marcus Rashford. So when you saw that line, you thought, okay, I can sort of see you'll play Rashford wide left to go against Trent because he had good form against him. You play Bruno in the 10, Weghorst up front, big battering ram against Liverpool's 2 big centre halves. Power with power. Look for Bruno to get the knockdown. United lined up with Bruno Fernandes, who isn't quick, playing left wing, which is odd. Rashford through the middle, which isn't the worst idea. Pace behind. Weghorst as a 10. I've never seen Weghorst play as a 10. I don't sort of feel that's his game. And then they had a fidget spinner on the other wing who just spun around like Tasmanian Devils. So midfield-wise, you was like, fair enough, that's the standard midfield. Casemiro has been really good for him. And then the back 4 was the back 4. So if we're honest, up until about 40 minutes, it was your typical Liverpool Man United home game. Tense, tight. Liverpool start quite well. Don't really work the keeper at any sort of point. The 2 best chances fall to United, really, which is they have a header, which they put wide, which they should get on target. There's a one that comes over the top to Rashford, and we've seen that for first-time volley. It wasn't that difficult a chance, and he just completely kiboshes it. And then just before half-time, United have a corner, header, and it felt like it was going goal. You're like, for fuck's sake. 1-0 to United.
Yeah. And that's what it was. It felt like it was coming.
Yeah, and you went offside. And when you see the replay, the freaking miles off, so you're thinking, all right, there's the let-off. And then the ball gets to Andy Robertson. He plays a lovely inside ball to Gakpo, and Gakpo just this lovely shift inside, from inside left, and just passes it bottom right corner. And I'm in the lower Lower Kenny. And as he hits it, he just as soon as he passes it, half of us are up going, that's it. And it's a lovely goal. He only just got his first goal a couple of weeks earlier, and you're just like,
Yeah.
not quite smash and grab, but you went, that's a bit against the run of play. But you know what? Clinical. One chance, one goal. All you want. At half time, you're going, fucking hell, 1-0, we're like that. But we're all around me, I don't know how you felt, going, yeah, we can't keep giving them those opportunities on the break, because on the break, United are going to hurt us here because we're too open again. We need to be a bit more tenacious. And listen, Liverpool were doing a weird thing with the midfield where Elliott was almost being told to push into a 10 position, really extreme, and leave it as a midfield 2v2. But then as soon as off the ball, he had to peg it back to wide right field. And look, you get caught out because you can't be everywhere at once. But other than that, you're thinking it's a little tactical tweak that I thought it worked really well. It was quite exciting. So how did you find the first half?
Well, for me, you got to go back to the first game at Old Trafford when we lost 2-1.
Oh, we're embarrassed.
And we got off lightly, So we were in terrible form all season. We didn't know whether it was stick or twist. They did have the better chances in the first half. We took our chance, and it was the Gakpo goal was typical Sadio Mane. Do you remember Sadio Mane's goal against Arsenal where he checked back?
Yes, and his very first
onto his right foot and whipped it.
He did that
it
twice.
Was very similar, He
did that a few times ago. So that was his finish.
That was his trademark finish.
Yeah,
and you saw Gakpo doing that, and I think it was his first game against Manchester United. It might have been his first goal at Anfield as well. It wasn't his first goal for the club, but I think it might have been his first goal at Anfield. But either way, it was early in his Liverpool time, so he was still learning the ropes. Really,
he
was. It got to half.
And he played central for this, and this is one of the few times he'd gone wide left, and Darwin would go through the middle. That, if I'm being honest with Darwin, he had a fucking stink.
In that first half, he did, yeah.
It's actually his second goal at Anfield. His first goal at Anfield came a few weeks earlier with the Derby.
Okay.
And the Derby goal is becoming his trademark goal, which is ghosts in 2 yard tap in the back post. It's becoming his trademark, which I'm quite happy with. I quite like having someone who can just do that. We haven't had someone who does that for ages. So I'm happy if he does another 10 of them next season.
The good part about that goal as well was Robertson had the ball and he waited for Gakpo to make the run.
And it's an inside pass. Because he wants to whip it in. So it was a bit of variety.
The easiest thing for Robertson on his left foot is to play one over the top, over the right back's head, into Gakpo for him to take it down on the chest and recycle the ball back into the middle that way. But he did it on the inside, and it was just like it was you get to halftime, you're 1-0 up, and you're okay, you reset now. Clean up at the back, tighten up, and these will come at us because at the end of the day, they were in good form. They were doing well in Europe. They just won the League Cup. They had a good, I'd say a good 3 months, really. But you could see that the cracks were starting to appear with them.
The frustration is, and look, it's Liverpool's own making this. So, it's not Cry Me a River, but this is where you were like, the run we went on in the last 11 games, if it was 3 or 4 games early, you'd have caught both of these in Newcastle. That's been the frustration this year. As bad as Liverpool have been horrendous last year, they actually probably should have got themselves comfortably top 4. They actually, I think we actually, we threw our opportunities away with our own ineptness. Which look,
oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, listen, we've got to wear it. So so you got to enjoy these moments when they happen because they are where they are. So listen, right, so let's talk about the next 2 goals because I have very different views of these goals to you. So we'll see what you. So we'll talk about the next goal, which is Darwin's goal, which is ball comes out, it's flicked over to Mo. He tries to do a cross, balls it up, falls to Harvey Elliott, and he puts it in. And Darwin bullet header, just what you want your big number 9 to do.
Oh yeah.
So from my perspective, in the lower Kenny, bullet header. I jump up, what a goal! I'm turning to my daughter to say, Darwin scored, because she likes Darwin. And my daughter's reaction was, looked up and went, but I'm still eating my hot dog. I said, oh, right, okay. She went, and she just went, was the goal good? It's a header. She went, great, I'm going to eat my hot dog. That was the joy of my 9-year-old, which was, I don't care that my £80 million striker's just scored to mix it up. I need to eat me Anfield hot dog because that's what I really wanted. So my daughter never saw the second goal because she's too busy eating a hot dog. So
I look at that goal, and I think it was more of a fluke than anything. It was, I mean, look, he was in the right place at the right time. All he had to do was get a contact on it. Any kind of clean contact, and it was in. And it's exactly where you want your number 9 to be. But that cross was fizzed in at serious pace. That could have gone anywhere.
It was good reactions. That's the difference.
Yeah.
It's a shit cross by Mo. It's shit across by Mo. And Harvey, was the first to it and pings it across. I don't think he's aiming for Darwin. It's just get up and get it
into an area.
Get into the danger zone. And if there's nobody there, then you can look at your centre forwards and go, where are you? Because you should be in 6-yard box for this.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit like...
But this was the stage now at 2-0. Man United fans, when you're watching the compilations of their watch-alongs, they're like, oh my God. The reality hadn't started to dawn on them yet because we just scored before halftime and we've just scored immediately after halftime, where arguably they had been the better side up until that point. They had the better chances. They controlled probably the second half of the first half. And here we are. We've gone bang, bang. The best times to score any goal in football, any 1-2 in football, the end of the first half, start of the second half. Because every single plan that Ten Hag had laid into him at halftime, we're going to do this, this, and this, evaporated as soon as that second one went in. And from then on, it just became the clinical Liverpool show.
So 3 minutes later,
yeah,
I'll tell you what the goal looks like, and you know this story. I'll tell you what I saw of the goal. Disclaimer: I didn't see the third goal, and it's one of the best. It's one of the best goals you'll see this season at Anfield, and I didn't see it. And I'll explain why. This is the joy of having children. So it's a breakaway to Salah. Salah gets it. He cuts it inside from the right wing, so edge of the area. And it's a really acute angle for Gakpo. And you think, well, he's gonna ping it across to Nunez, who's running the back post, hopefully. And as he gets it, first time, barely looks, dinks it. It's a Bergkamp, very Dutch. Bergkamp dinks over the keeper. Bit vibes of the Coutinho goal in the Europa League against United, where he dinks it over the shoulder.
Very similar.
And then it's one of those celebrations where they don't celebrate and you just look at me. But it was like it's proper coming of age goal. Like you were like, oh wow, this is this might be a special player. This might be a bit special we've got here. So my daughter enjoyed a hot dog. Typical, and she hasn't done this in many games. Dad, what? I need the toilet. Come on, love, let's go down. It's 2-0, isn't it? So he'll set that for a couple of minutes. And then there's this roar, and I just seen the steward look at me, and we both looked and went, oh, that's a Liverpool goal, isn't it? And he went, sounds like one, doesn't it? I went, it sounds like it. And I gave it 3-0. I was like, who scored? Gakpo. And he went, best goal you'll ever see, mate. I was like, I just have this little phrase look at me going, sorry, Dad. I'm like, don't worry. In my head, I'm going, we're beating United 3-0 at home. I'm probably not going to see a 3-0 win at home against United again. It's very rare I get a ticket for United. I'm thinking, oh, this one of the goals, because let's be honest, you don't see many big wins at Anfield against United. Yeah,
true.
So a bit, I was like, not hurtful, but slightly gutted, going, oh, do you know?
Arguably for me, up. If it's not, it is up there with goal of the season because
it's the finesse.
Salah does Martinez, sits him down, and that finish. You're 2 yards from the byline on your weak foot, and the keeper's on the narrow. It's on the narrow angle to the keeper. You have absolutely no right to score that goal, none whatsoever. And he couldn't have scored it anywhere else. He couldn't have scored it any other way. If he'd have wrapped it low, De Gea was saving it with his legs. If he'd have gone with power at the keeper, De Gea was saving it. only thing he could do was chip him. And it was just the thought process, the outrageousness of having that thought process to go with your weak foot and dink the keeper from there is ridiculous. But finish aside, Salah sat down this myth that
the butcher,
Sandro Martinez is
the butcher's going to maul him. The butcher's going to sort him out. Useless.
Yeah. The idea that this guy, and look, I think he's a very good centre back. I do. I think he's a good player. You know, he's not a mug, but at the same time, he was never what they built him up to be. You know, but Salah made him look like a child, and that goal for me, up there with Salah's goal against City for goal of the season, it is right up there for different reasons. I think that's probably a better finish.
So, a couple minutes later, they take Weghorst off to bring on Garnacho, who I still don't think he's famous for is his hair. Fred out, McTominay in. So you're like, okay, so they've gone to 58 minutes. This is. Yeah. They've gone to shore this up a little bit. You know, United have a bit of the ball. Ball falls to Gakpo, and he tries to thread it through. It's intercepted, falls back, and it's like half-assed pass forward. It's a bobbler, and Salah is able just to let it go across his body, and as it ball bounces up, pardon my language, but the way he just twats it.
Yeah,
but it's one of my favourite type of goals where somebody hits the ball that hard, and it's one of those ones where you watch it and the keeper's mid-air. It's like one of those mid-air saves. You know, it's just like outrageous finish because the power behind it, and it went off at Anfield, and the fact it goes in under the bar. I always think shots that barring in, and the keeper's like mid-air. I just think aesthetically they just look brilliant. Cop head, and Salah again, he just walks off like that, big smile, going, "That's just what I do."
That's just for me. There was an awful lot of. There was an element of luck in that goal. You know, there was an awful lot of the ball bobbled along, and it's one of those. If from their point of view, because I can remember one of the reactions going, and it's bounced to Salah. Well, of course it bounced to Salah. Where else is it going to bounce to? And the guy just lost the plot completely.
But is that the point where? But Salah, it's a bit like, and listen, Ruud van Nistelrooy was a bit like this, where you go like, so it's 50, it's 5 or 6 deflections. Of course it bounces to Van Nistelrooy. That's what he does. After all, going, I think it's the law of averages where the likes your Salahs, your Harry Kanes, today, Haaland especially, they just kind of know. It's like it's a part of that
instinct, don't they?
It's instinct, and it's part of like probably law of averages. Going, if I'm around this neck of the woods, it's likely to fall here, and I'll do what I do.
Brian makes a point there. What an instinctive finish! It was pure instinct. It was pure instinct, that finish.
I still think that's Salah at his best when he's on instinct.
Yeah,
when he does that time.
And the same with Darwin. Darwin. When Darwin doesn't have time to think, he's outrageous. When he doesn't have time to think about the finish.
Yeah. So, and then I think Darwin gets our next goal, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. That one came in from Jordan Henderson from the cross, and he gets a brilliant header on it.
It's a back header because it's very Andy Carroll against Everton in the FA Cup semi-final. Just off the back of the head, chips it in, and look, Darwin enjoyed that, and he made sure he enjoyed that. So we've got 2 players now and 2 goals. United's reaction is they take off Martinez, the butcher gets taken off for a fullback. I mean, they're probably both about the same height, to be fair. And then Casemiro, who had an absolute stinker, which is not very often you say that about Casemiro, but he was dreadful. Sabitzer came on. I'll be honest, I forgot he came on. He's one of those players that I forgot who he was. So, and then not long after that, we take Henderson comes off for Bajcetic, Darwin's taken off for Jota, and Gakpo comes off for Bobby, and Fabinho comes out for James Milner. So we probably do the whole big change things. Within 2 minutes, Milner's snapped someone because
it's just what he does.
Just what he does. Even at that point with a winning comfortably 5-0, he's going, I'm still going to snap someone. I just think it's like in his contract.
But for me, that was the difference in this game comparing to the 5-0. In this game, we were ruthless. When we got chances, we were so clinical that we took every single opportunity. If you actually look at the stats of the game, it's not a 7-0 game.
No, it's
It's
every
just
shot.
that the chances that we had, the chances that we had were just snapped up.
Now
They
the
were
sixth goal is brilliant because it's the best shit goal I've ever seen in my life. So Elliot plays it in. It comes to it's a bit of a fight in the box. I think one of the United lads tries to clear it. It hits Bobby, bounces back to Salah, just cracks it in. And then Salah takes his shirt off, which I know annoyed a lot of Man United fans. Like, it's 6-0. Why are you taking your shirt off? But I think that's when he broke the record for being our highest.
I don't know if that's when he broke the record or when he equaled it.
It
was one of the two.
It was one of the records because Salah, we've realised, he takes his shirt off when it's either it's a memorable goal somewhere, it's either like the big win or it's a record he knows he's broken. Because that's how he's a record driven man. Nothing wrong with that. So when he took his shirt off, that's what it was. Like I said, I can't remember if it's equaled it or he'd just gone ahead. But it's one of those like fair do. So you're seeing something you don't see very often. Again, someone breaking a record. I'm sure that was to make him the all-time leading goal scorer in the Prem for us.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous. Just before Darwin got sent off, taken off, he tried to get himself sent off because I think did Luke Shaw have a little kick at him? He went berserk, and he had like two Liverpool grab him. Please don't, Darwin. Just come on.
Yeah, not this. Not like this.
You've had your Palace headbutt thing. Let's not be doing it here. And I think it's around this time where we see why Bruno Fernandes should not be captain of Man United. Yeah. Listen, he wasn't the reason they were so bad, but he typified the petulance of that Man United side where Pochettino just takes it past, instead of running, he just tries to volley him. And he was that bad at it, he fucking missed the volley. But the funniest part of the whole game for me, and this weekend I think it's been like, know your players, is Anthony decided he was going to be the big hard man that he was and start kicking people, which is fine. That's what you need to do. But he kicks over James Milner. And James Milner stands up and the guy like fronts up to me, like, doing his old hard man to James Milner's back. And it's one of those ones where you see someone like half turn and you can see in the crowd the little smirk on Milner's face. It's a bit like, mate, I've been there, done it, wore the t-shirt. You better fuck off. He just looks and smiles. And you see Anthony sort of do that awkward thing where you're going like, oh, he's not going to react. He's not going to do anything. And you have to like sort of step, but you have to like slowly step back and like, not look a dickhead basically. Because you're thinking like, you fronted up to, it's been like, you got to do it. Front up to Darwin because he actually might hit you. Milner's not stupid enough for 6-0 to get involved with it. But it just showed the petulance that was in the side. That was, I'm going to show I'm hurting, so I'm going to start kicking people and fronting up. You go, it doesn't really work, lads. And I hate it when Liverpool players do it. And I was, didn't you love it when the classic was Shelby? Do you remember John Joe Shelby? When he got sent off against, and he said, was it great? He told Ferguson to fuck off, and he had to go and said, yeah, did you see? Yeah, but Ferguson was laughing. Ferguson got, game plan worked, mate, and you'll get you sent off, and Liverpool will lose now. It was very, I don't know.
It's childish.
Childish.
Amateur hour.
Yeah. So, but then after that, after we were 6-0 up, the whole of the ground was pretty much going, please let Bobby score. Because it come back around this time, his contract, he wasn't going to renew, he didn't want to renew his contract, he wanted to try a new challenge. Everyone was a bit like,
we all kind of knew, didn't we?
We knew it was coming. And the Bobby song went for a little while as well. And it came. And it's a very Bobby-esque finish. And honest to God, you thought it was a winner in a cup final.
Yeah,
that was the best part of the goal. And for me, the reason that goal, I love that goal the most is my daughter's first game, everyone knows it's the 5-5 against Arsenal, but that's when she bought her first scarf. And her first scarf, and she still has it, is a Bobby Firmino scarf because she thinks he's ace. And it's got all the badges on it wherever she goes. But I'd worked out, she's only been to about 5 or 6 games. And she'd never seen Bobby play live before, like twice, and he'd never scored. So she's never seen him score live. So that's the only game she's seen him score live. And she still talks about that now. Do you want to saw Bobby score? Because it's one of her favourite players. And it's nice when when you're that age, your favourite player scores. So.
I mean, the thing is, when you look at the goal went in, and then it starts to dawn on you. It's 7-0. It's 7-0. We've absolutely mullered them. And the thing is, it could have been more. We missed 2 or 3 chances in that second half that you'd expect to finish. On another day you would have. It was, I don't think it wasn't a dominant 90-minute performance by any stretch.
It was just fun.
But it was as good a 45. Yeah, it was as good a 45 minutes as I've ever seen any side ever play. It doesn't matter what the game is. I've never seen a Manchester United side capitulate to the stage where Bruno Fernandes was asking to be taken off.
Well, did he?
I don't care what he says. I don't care what he says.
Because the talk now is he didn't say that. It's Neville's made that up now.
I don't care.
And Neville's trying to back it. And Neville's trying to back out of it because I think I get the impression I think Neville got in a bit of trouble for that. Because
I couldn't care less. He was having his hands up in the air, looking to be taken off. He did not want to be there. He wanted nothing to do with that. That side, that Manchester United side.
Santander, yeah, he's right. It should have been 8. Kanate's header went through the side of it. Yeah, Kanate had a header where, to be honest, when you watch it back, he should score. It's not.
Yeah. Right. This is what I mean. It could have been 8 or 9. It genuinely could have. And I can remember coming on doing the post-match show with Matt because you'd gone to the game. So Matt,
and then I met Gav, and Gav was in Liverpool for this. So I met Gav in Liverpool with the tall lads. So it was just ridiculous.
And it was myself and Matt. I was on the cans. I was half pissed by the time me and Matt finished the show. I was just opening can after can after can. I was just necking them, and I couldn't get over it. But my instant reaction after the game was, it was 7-0. But I don't think we were great. I didn't think we were great because I still had it in my head the first 45 minutes that we were just 1-0 up against a run of play. And it could have been a different game.
Neville Sullivan's back. Neville Sullivan. Here he is.
Everything in that game fell for us. The bobbles falling for Salah. The Gakpo finish that he had absolutely no right to score. That bang across the box for Darwin to score that flash header. Do you know what I mean? It was just one of those games where everything fell right.
To be fair, Kev,
and the capitulation by Manchester United was epic. Yeah, it was epic.
But to be fair, Kev, after the season we had last year, we didn't have many days where a lot fell right for us. So you kind of got to embrace.
But that was it. Niceness. That was the thing. We'd had the Bournemouth game. We'd had this game. We'd had a couple of performances through the season where you think, that's more like that. I know what I'm watching is a Liverpool team when I was watching some of these games, and you can always hold on to that and say, look, we know that this is it, that they have this in them. It's just tighten everything up around it.
Can I ask you a question? What harder? Us beating Man United 7-0 at Old Trafford, at Anfield, or Arsenal tonight submitting a bid of 100 million plus 5 million add-ons for Declan Rice, which has just been reported now on The Athletic. Listen, I don't get to disparage Declan Rice. Declan Rice is an excellent player. He really is. Yeah. But fuck me, 100 million? Listen,
we'll chat about it in a sec.
West Ham can charge what they want, but my lord.
Let's just finish on this for 1 sec. The post-match, did you see back the post-match interview? I mean, the post-match interview when you had Neville, Keane, Souness, and Carragher is just pantomime stuff.
The best thing Keane did was Neville kept digging himself a hole, saying, it wasn't that good, and we're not very good. He was down. He sounded like a petulant child. Whereas Keane was doing what Souness has done in the past when Liverpool got hammered and when United got hammered. He just sat there quietly and he said, "You can't be getting beat 7-0. That's embarrassing." And he just sat there and let Neville hang. He was a bit like, it's almost like he looked at Neville like, "Gary, if you get beat 7-0, no matter what way you say it, you've got to take your medicine here and just take your medicine." And it was great watching.
And credit to Graham Souness because he was confident, a lot more confident than most people going into that game. Bearing in mind that they'd not just beat us 2-1 at Old Trafford, they tonked us 2-1 at Old Trafford. That was probably one of the worst performances that I'd seen from Liverpool in a good while.
Yeah.
And to turn that around, given the indifferent form that we had throughout the season, to put that second half performance in, it should have been that touch paper moment to go strong for the rest of the season. It just didn't pan out that way. But look, it is what it is.
Yeah. But again, that comes back to, we all know it, as a club, whether it's owners, whether you think it's Klopp, the answer's probably a bit of all of them. Got your squad building wrong, which means that's why we're so inconsistent. Hopefully, we get it right this summer. Cool, then. Because it's breaking, and to be fair, right. it's a bit of a madness, this, isn't it? 100 million for Declan Rice. Let's talk about it.
Declan Rice, 100 million plus 5 in add-ons.
Yes.
Right.
I mean,
that puts him.
I mean, City might bid 120. It'll be the highest fee for a British player.
All right. Well, no, it won't, because Jude Bellingham is the highest fee for an English player, but it'll probably be the highest fee that an English club have paid for a British player. I saw some of the nonsense that was spoken about on TalkSport today from Elianuko. And look, the clip is out there for anyone who wants to go and see it. She seems to think that Pep is doing Arteta a solid by getting the board and Man City to put in a fake bid to drum Arsenal, to force Arsenal into bidding more for the player.
I don't think Pep's in charge of transfers, to be honest.
No. But at the same time, there's a bit of method to her madness. I don't believe for a second that Pep is doing anything, or Man City are doing Arsenal a favour by doing this. I think Man City probably have a price that they were willing to pay for Declan Rice. I don't see how or why Man City would sign Declan Rice. It makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever, especially since they've got Kovacic over the line today. So a bid for him on top of Kovacic when you've got Rodri in the side as well and Calvin Phillips makes no sense. But for Arsenal, Declan Rice is exactly what they need. They're losing Granit Xhaka. They want to get Thomas Partey out of the club. They need that either 6 or defensive 8 to come in and be there for the next 6 to 7 years. So,
but do we need more than? Because again, Havertz.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, listen. If the news are to believe, they're going to spend close to 200 million on 3 players. Big money,
yeah. It's big money for Arsenal since they don't have that much wiggle room. Arsenal are going to have to shift some talent out the door. Partey is going to be one. They got Granit Xhaka out. They're going to need to sell probably 2 or 3 more to try to balance because Arsenal are doing a lot of transfer business, but they've spent a lot of money now over the last 3 years without having been in the Champions League at all. So. They've got to get into a situation where they not just get back into the Champions League again next season, they have to do well in it this season. And I mean, by do well in it for TV money, they have to get into the last 8, last 4. Otherwise they could, down the line, they could be in a bit of financial trouble. But I think it's nuts. It'll be Arsenal's biggest fee going into the, ever is
I mean,
that they paid for Nice, Nicolas Pepe, they paid 72 million for him.
God, do you remember that one?
Yeah, Arsenal don't exactly have a great track record of spending big money. They've spent big money badly over the years.
Quite a few in the chat are saying, if the rumoured fees are to be believed, Caicedo is 25 to 30 million less.
Yeah.
Is Caicedo not better business because then it still gives you more wiggle room to do more?
Yeah, it is. He is, but now, I think I agree with your line of thinking. You've got a theory on this, and I agree with you. So
my theory is the Caicedo is a bit like us with Van Dijk. So we also acted the bollocks with Van Dijk, but sort of saying he only wants us. That's to do the whole public apology, and I think October time we did a deal with Southampton and said, "Look, we'll pay this fee, plus dickhead tax, so it's like 75 million. Keep it quiet." And we'll get it done in early January, because literally it was done before the January window opened. I think the way Chelsea acted in January Brighton were never going to sell, and I think they've had a chat after January window and gone, right, the player really wants to come to you. You acted stupid. Pay this fee. We'll keep it under wraps. Let us get our replacements in and it's done. So I kind of feel like this was already done behind closed doors and no one's going to... I can't prove it. I just think that's what it is.
No.
The fact nobody else is really in for him. And listen, for the fee he's rumoured for, people say, why aren't Liverpool in for him? Why aren't Man United in for him? There are plenty of clubs, why have Arsenal not looking at him instead of Rice? There's quite a few clubs you can look at and go, why aren't they in for him? Which makes you feel that I always think in football, there's no real secrets. And I always think sometimes players know that, that player's going there. That's why, because to be fair, after Liverpool bought up Van Dijk, how Man United, Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal didn't get him signed up in that summer, I'll never know. Which makes you think they all got a whiff of his agent where they said, he's only going there. That's the club he prefers. So don't waste your time.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory. Look,
I agree with you. I think that it's a done deal to Chelsea. Brighton have gone and done some business already. Early, they've got Milner through the door. They've got Dahoud through the door from Dortmund. They've brought in João Pedro from Watford, and they're looking at Mohamed Kudus from Ajax.
He looks a good signing.
Exactly. So if they can get those four in the door for the loss of McAllister and Caicedo, they'll be okay. But I think they'll make Chelsea pay top end for Caicedo, even though Caicedo has probably made it clear, I only want to go there. But that's the way I see that one coming out. But I mean, look, Arsenal are taking the gamble of all gambles on Declan Rice. Sure, Declan Rice is a very good player.
Listen, if Declan Rice is brilliant and Arsenal win leagues and do well in Europe, gives a shit. A bit like
he is not, under any circumstances or by any football logic, a £100 million player by any stretch of the imagination. He just isn't.
But maybe this is where West Ham are going. It's got to be 100 million plus for us to even get close to replacing, because they probably need 2 or 3 players to replace what he gives them.
Yeah. Look, some of the other gossip that's going around today as well. Leeds want Nat Phillips, Ant Dicko is saying there. I think it'd be a good move. I think it'd be a good move for him. Look, Ellen Road will get full houses even in the championship. So I think it could be a good move for him. If they get Daniel Farke through the door as our manager, he's tried to sign him before, more than once. So I think it could be a good fit at this stage of his career. Nat needs a move. If he stays in the north of England, it'd probably suit him better. Leeds isn't that far from where he is at the moment. So it's a deal I could see happening for sure. There's rumours as well that Bobby could be off to Saudi. Nothing substantial on that yet, but there's been no whiff of where he's going to go. There's been no real whiff of where Oxlade-Chamberlain's going to go either.
There was a whiff of Villa for a while, wasn't there?
But I think there was something about him getting a look at maybe Brighton or maybe Saudi Arabia as well. So you never know. Look, my feelings about the Saudi Arabian and what they're doing at the minute is what are pretty well known to everyone in the chat. I think it's the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to see in football. But look, I can't blame players who want to go and earn huge amounts of money to go and play there for a few years. There is a fair few Brazilians who play in that league and have been playing in that league for a while. So it's not an unnatural move for someone who's Brazilian who maybe feels like they can't cut it in a top 5 league or at a Champions League level club and still wants to carry on playing and just go and enjoy his last few years. The thing is with Firmino, we've definitely had the best years of him. And I think look, if he goes, he goes. It's not. I wouldn't be going out of my way to watch it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, me neither really. But it's like with all these players went to the Chinese Super League. I had no interest in watching that either, to be honest. So, look, players will go and earn a big wage. All power to you. Let's be honest. In any other industry, we'd all do it. if you've got a chance to earn a big set of money, you probably would.
Other than that, I haven't seen much. Kovacic deal has gone through at Man City.
There's some social media rumors about us potentially putting a bid in for your lad from Southampton, Lavia.
Lavia, yeah, I'd be shocked. I'd be really surprised.
I'm like you. I'm like you thinking, if he's that good, unless we are City aren't short of cash, why City just go, forget the buyout clause, we're bringing it back now. I think because people know he has this buyback clause, I think that's getting people a bit too overexcited. Jay Gold's bringing up, there is a talk that from the German side that
it's coming out pretty strong actually.
Kane to buy-in is sounded pretty likely. Which, listen, look for Kane, could be for him. Not for once, one of my predictions came right where I said like the best football move for Kane is Bayern Munich. They like a big, strong central number 9. He can do that. It's a league he'll do well, which will save his body. He guaranteed to play Champions League football every year. He's pretty much guaranteed a league title every year. What more? What more can you want? It'd take a lot of pressure.
All football logic tells you that unless he wants to become a quiz question in 20 years, he needs this move badly. He's already tried to force his way out of Spurs last season in a move to Manchester United. He's surely not going to turn down a move to Bayern Munich. Now, whether Bayern Munich will offer what Daniel Levy wants for him is another matter. Because here's the thing. I don't believe for a second the Spurs will sell him to an English club.
I also said this. I said this to you. I said, what's Kane got to Bayern? It's the first year they don't win the fucking league.
Yeah.
It would just be so funny, wouldn't it?
It would be typical, wouldn't it? But no, look, I look at if he's being valued at 60 million, okay, which I think is a very fair offer for someone of his age, irrespective of what he's capable of offering.
How long's got left in his contract? A couple of years.
One.
See, that's because I was thinking, that seems a bit cheap. But 1 year, yeah, the 1 year thing just sort of
1 year, his age. It's and he's still got to adjust to a league that he doesn't speak the language and all of that stuff that goes with it. So, but there is no way in how the Spurs will sell him to an English club at 60 million because Harry Kane to Manchester United could be the difference between Manchester United getting top 4 next season and Spurs getting top 4 without him.
Yeah,
that's the reality. Spurs will look at it without Harry Kane. The odds of them reaching the top 4 are very slim. With a Harry Kane, they have a chance. Now, it might be a slim chance, but at least it's a chance because of the volume of goals he's going to get.
I also think this probably helps the new manager as well. I wonder if he's been given the task of, you've got a bit of a rebuild job here, which is going to be 2-3 years.
It's going to take a few years. Yeah.
That's going to be a hard sell with the players they've got at Spurs. But if you're showing, look, we're selling the crown jewel for them, which is Harry Kane, that screams of this is a rebuild. This is a couple of years down the job. I think that sort of sets the expectation of we're probably not going top 4 this year. The idea is within 2 years, that's what we're doing. We're pushing to this level. Yeah. And it gives a new manager then a bit of breathe room. I know people hate 3-year, 5-year plan, but it gives them something to work with. The aim this year is to get back into Europe. Aim next year is top 4. So you got 2 years to do it. Go and do it. Build the way you want to build. And also it gives them a little bit of tactical flexibility, doesn't it? Because there's only one way you can play with Harry Kane, whereas now you can do a few different ways of working. Does it make Spurs weaker? Definitely. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. But listen, we'll save that for a transfer show because it's 20 past 11. And you and me both got work at 6 o'clock, so
I'm pretty sure that by the end of this week you're going to see some movement happen.
I think so.
Euro the 21s is going on for another 10 days, I think. But other than that, I think you're going to start seeing some movement on some of the other deals around the league. The Mason Mount stuff should come to a head this week. Yeah. Kane by the end of this week, I think you'll expect to see some movement. Spurs have already got a keeper in over the line as well, so. And you've got to see how the David De Gea stuff plays out to see what Manchester United are going to do with their keeper situation.
Leave the whole show on that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, there's definitely a transfer show going to be coming up Probably not based on Liverpool because we're not going to be doing anything for a while yet.
Well, no, we've got to wait for Valverde to be free. But anyway, that's a different story.
That's for another day.
On that bombshell. Thanks for joining us. Please hit the like button and subscribe on your way out. And until then, me and Kev will catch you very, very soon. See you later.
Cheers, guys. Good night.